Good morning, ma'am. I'm Vedant Nath. This on the call with us is Arya Nadella. We both
Hi,
work with the
ma'am.
World Youth Media, and we're part of the team of youngsters who are trying to build something like a self-sustainable entrepreneurship model for youngsters in a real business kind of simulation. Our YouTube is the front face of it, and we want to promote child education in the current crisis, and that's something we're looking forward to. And I really can't appreciate you and your team enough with what you do with the well restoration at the moment, with the rainwater project, and including restoration of lakes. So, ma'am, let me not waste much more of your time, and let's get into the small questionnaire we have prepared for you.
Yes,
Sure,
Kalpana.
thank you, Vedant. And it's lovely to talk to you youngsters because I believe you guys are the change and you guys are the out of box thinkers, right? When you are faced with a problem, you don't talk about the problem, but you're always looking at solutions. So that's the real power of being, of getting people like you aware. Yeah, it's
Thank
wonderful
you,
to
ma'am.
have this conversation. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, ma'am. Yeah. So, hey, ma'am, Veda has already introduced me. I'm Arya, and there are some questions that I would like you to answer. So, for the first question, ma'am, so was there a certain moment in Hyderabad that made you realize that there was a significant problem with the lakes drying up?
My work actually didn't start with lake restoration. When we moved back from US in 2020, 2000, that's when we lived in different communities across Hyderabad. Everywhere I was seeing that we are dealing with tankers, we are dealing almost 4 or 5 months, buying tankers. And it made me think, why are we not thinking beyond tankers? Is tankers our solution, really? So we tried in different communities where we lived as part of, became part of committees to make that change. But we didn't see that people were giving so much importance to the environment also. Because I knew something like rainwater harvesting will work, but at least you can try. But not many people were up for it. They always said like, oh, it's a nice idea, but we shall do it later. So it's always, put aside. So when we built our house, so I had this strong intention to become tanker free in me. So it built over the years, I would say. And I was looking forward to this opportunity. And that when we built our own home, that's when, this opportunity came up and it was possible for me to make this happen. I just built a large collection sump for rainwater, right? Sump is a tank where you collect rainwater. And from the rooftops, all the pipes are connected to this and simply it passes through a coal and sand filter. I did just that much. So by doing that, I don't know still if I'm going to go tanker free. But I saw that in the first year, I didn't need tankers. And this worked like a water bank for me. Whenever there is a need for water, I would draw water from here. So it was a large 25,000 liters sum. So this kind of took care of my problem. But I also thought about recycling of grey water. Grey water is all the waste water other than what comes out of the commode is all grey water. This can be easily recycled. So we recycled this water and used it for all our greenery that we use. So that brought down our consumption a lot, lesser. And the dependability on this freshwater resources, what we get, what we call Manjira water, the municipal water is water that we get from rivers. So the dependability on that started reducing. So that also made me aware that yes, this is also a good thing to do. So while achieving a tanker-free home, I mean, year after year we didn't need a tanker. Then we got our community to do a lot of rainwater harvesting. Then we saw a success story there where we didn't need a common tanker. Last 6 years, we don't buy a single common tanker. Individually here and there they buy, but before 6 years we used to pool, and every 3 years, once in 3 days, we used to buy a lot of tankers and distribute in our colony of 100 homes. Last 6 years, we're not doing this either because our boats are working fine and we don't spend a drop of rainwater, nothing. While working on these, that's when I realized lakes are the largest catchment for rainwater. And what are we doing with our lakes? It's such a sad thing to see that everything is it's filthy, it's dirty, and people use it literally as a litter box, and nobody cares for water really in that. So that made me think. Then I said, let me work on a lake which is closer to me. But when I wanted to work on a lake, honestly, I didn't know a thing about a lake. I learned it on the way, step by step. But I made up my mind I will take up and restore a lake closer to my home. Yeah, that's how that was my journey really. I mean, why did I start looking at lakes? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. So for the second question, have there been any major challenges or setbacks that your department has faced during the course of your project?
Setbacks, I would say, first setback is people's participation, right? So you think when you want to do a lake and you think like, 100 people will come and join you and say, wow, what a great work this is. Let us all join and do. That's a myth. I mean, that didn't happen at all. I mean, when I wanted to work on the lake, I didn't want to initially work on the water quality. I wanted to connect people around the lake. I want them to know that this is your lake and you need to keep it clean and you live around it. So you breathe this stench, you breathe this air and the mosquitoes, everything is like your problem. So you need to look at it and address this in a certain way. So the first challenge for me was that's the first time I was on a public arena. Now, how do I talk to people? I don't know anybody in that around that lake area. I live in an adjacent colony, adjacent area, not in Kondapur. So the first challenge was, what do I do? Should I do a run? Should I? How do I gather people really? That's when it struck me that I'm just sitting and thinking what to do, what to do. I'm not doing anything. So I said, one evening I just went and met a couple of communities around apartments and asked them who is the president, secretary, and started having a conversation with them. So like this, I had some 40, 42 conversations with different communities. I spent all my, evenings and weekends and whoever, if one community knew someone next door, I would say, can you connect me to someone here? This is this. Well, I figured out all of this and I thought I reached 400 people, right? I thought at least 20, 30 people will come to the lake. I was almost sure this many people and maybe more. But that day, the first day, to my surprise, I didn't find a single person that came there. Not a single person. We advertised, we did a lot of stuff, but we didn't find anybody. So that was almost like a heartbreaking thing. That was the first challenge. That's when I understood behavior changes of this. Well, I figured out all of this and I thought I reached 400 people, right? I thought at least 20, 30 people will come to the lake. I was almost sure this many people and maybe more. But that day, the first day, to my surprise, I didn't find a single person that came there. Not a single person. We advertised, we did a lot of stuff, but we didn't find anybody. So that was almost like a heartbreaking thing. That was the first challenge. That's when I understood behavior change is something very big that we need to tackle. Behavior change is something that needs to be understood. Why is this inertia? Why are people not coming forward? What is their problem really? So that's when the first time I understood I cannot go like a doctor and give a prescription. I need to first understand what do the people want. Of course, you have a whole bunch of them saying it is the government's problem. They are supposed to do it. Why should we do it? It is not our work. How do we care? But I started slowly talking to them and telling, look, it is your environment, it is your health, you're breathing this air. It's good to participate. Someone else is doing it, it's good to participate. But many people also question me, why are you doing this late? What is your interest? What is your agenda? Are you going to become a politician? So all these challenges. So I had to, then I started continuing my work. I even that day we said like I didn't give up. Me and my supervisor, both of us started cleaning. We said doesn't matter anybody comes or not. We took it up, right? So let's make it happen. So we cleaned up, and after some time, few people from the apartment came, joined us. So like this, the journey began. So I think connecting with people, bringing them to the forefront and getting them to understand the real problem and working towards the environment, I feel is the biggest challenge. And the next challenge is, of course, aligning the government, right? Getting the government faculties to help us, to support us, to partner with us. Then another faculty where you need the funding. Initially, I didn't even know how to pitch. I would just go and speak my heart and say, "Look, I want money for this. This is what is my plan." And honestly, I didn't have a plan. I sort of knew what I should do, but I didn't have a plan really. So these were challenges. So I kind of self-taught myself, read a lot. What to do next, and every challenge I faced, honestly, more than being disappointed, I wanted to see how do I want to crack this, right? How do I want to crack up behavior change? How do I want to? So my only thing with people was keep on doing your work. People will come and join. So that's what really happened. All these negative people telling this and that. So I didn't focus on all of that. I keep doing this self talk saying that what is my goal, the lake or the people, right? Do I focus on the negatives or do I focus on my goal? So constantly I will derail, I will put myself back on the rail. So this is what, I used to keep doing this. And then one day I realized I'm so sensitized to, I mean, anybody can say anything to me. It didn't bother me really. I would just go and do what I want to do. I made my plan. I would make a small plan, go to the corporate, try to see where I can get fund. Once I got the fund, I would go to the government and say, look, I'm going to do this and I have this company supporting me. You guys, give me a letter to do this. So I started making my own little roadmaps and making things happen. Yeah.
All right, yeah, got it, ma'am. So for the third question, now due to the COVID crisis, is this somehow affecting the progress of your projects?
I would say yes in a way and no also in a way. In fact, everyone is busy with something or the other, so we are free to do what we want. So I think COVID is also kind of a blessing for us, and the lake restoration, the well restoration also. You just need like few people you don't need a crowd working out for us. Even in the lakes, you have only two people working on this shore, two on the other shore. So there is good amount of social distancing, and we are always in the outdoor, and we have people with safe distances from each other. So it kind of worked. I mean, last year we saved one entire Kondapur well, which was used for irrigation many, many years ago. So we were able to restore this whole well through COVID. And through COVID, I was actually distributing milk in that area to small babies. That's when we stepped on to this well, and I saw this round structure, and I thought that somebody had pointed out there is something like a well, but we didn't really find it then. I just saw it in the middle of debris, a circular structure. Then I realized it's a well, and when I went to the government, they said they're going to close it up. There's going to be a road coming up. I said no. I had to convince, the town planning department for almost 2 months. I told them, look, let us restore, let us see what happens at the well. And they were, like I said, everyone was busy with COVID, so they kind of sort of allowed us to do. My thing was once I restore it, there is no question of closing that ever, right? So we took it up quietly, and we used a lot of machinery also, less people, and the whole garbage filled well. We were able to open up, and we were able to do it with before the floods, right time before the monsoons. So it was able to capture more than 30 lakh liters of water on the roads and sent it into the ground. And the groundwater recharged beautifully all around that area. The board started working well and stuff. So it's been a fantastic thing to show people, even if wells don't have water, there is a way they are connected to the ground. I mean, wells were dug where they were good aquifer source. I mean, good source where water used to flow as an underground stream. They dug it at those points. And more than our knowledge, the traditional knowledge is really, really, they were geniuses. I mean, they knew where to dig wells. And today, you just pour water into them, it recharges beautifully because it's connected to those. So, and we proved it that, a 13 lakh, I mean, 1.3 million liter holding capacity it was the capacity of that well, and we were able to make it happen. We did a small amphitheater around it, and now we are waiting for to make rain gardens around it, and waiting for permissions and juggling for funds. All this is going on, but happy that the well is saved, it's not closed. So through COVID we did this, and also we were able to give many people who are struggling for their livelihoods, right? And this well digging and stuff, and also doing the rainwater harvesting bits, it does not need highly skilled labor, right? We teach them, we on the ground, we work with them, our supervisors, they're always there guiding them. But even unskilled labor can do our jobs, digging these rainwater pits and such. So we were able to give work to hundreds of families through the COVID. We supported them. So that's another huge plus for us. And people are not bothering us on the roads. I mean, we are quietly doing our work. We're doing rainwater harvesting in common areas, and not many people out. So it's a good thing. And we also took up government schools, and we are making them water positive. So schools where there's nothing called a rainwater pipe. Also, the water is just flowing on the walls, and the walls are getting leakages, and the walls are getting weak. So we did all the plumbing, and there was a school in Gopinagar slum, which is basically in opposite HCU, behind Doan's Colony. There's a school there, and it has about 330 kids. There were two bores, and one bore wasn't working, and only one bore, used to get them a drum of water every day. That's it. So we flushed one bore and made it work, and it started giving so much water. The second bore also, we created this rainwater harvesting pit right next to it. And there was an old sump, we repaired that. So we created a storage also for rainwater. So that school now has become water positive. It does not, not a drop of rainwater goes out of this school. And it is helping recharge their own bore wells. And now the kids will have enough water when they come back to school. So it's COVID is also helping, where we can take up all these schools where there are no kids now. We can take up all these works and make schools water positive. So, so I think COVID is also a plus, big plus for us, for our works, I think.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So for the next question, apart from the lack of clean water, what other major environmental problems do you think Hyderabad should aim to tackle soon?
So I think see, with Corona and the kind of dirty environment we have, right, a very bad environment that we see, it's all the littering that we do, and so much of piles and piles of garbage, and you just throw it anywhere. I mean, still, if you go to other countries, the moment you land in the country, you know that you have to take care of your garbage. But the moment you land in India, you think it's your birthright to throw anything anywhere. First thing is this habit of littering. I think it's a behavior change, and all educated people do this. It's not even about uneducated. And you've seen so many ads saying the uneducated clean up, what the educated throw. Literally that. So I would like to tell you about one cleanup we did, with DPS, and Oak Ridge and another school in one of the lakes. So when the kids came initially to the lake, they were very skeptical, right? Whether it's so dirty, and one glove and two gloves, and how do I cover myself? Oh, it stinks, and I can't stand here anymore. All of that, right? So what I did is, all these sanitation workers, the government workers, I got them to stand in a line, and I asked them to speak about what is their day like, right? And how they clean these dirty places every day. I mean, that's their job. And some people spoke in Telugu, some people spoke in Hindi, some in broken English, but they told very beautifully what their day is like. The more you throw, the more work for them. And however dirty it is, they have to pick it. They don't have a choice. They have to pick in, bags in the middle of shit, and they have to pick it. They don't have a choice. And the moment they started talking to all these kids, I saw many kids, tear up, and many kids became so emotional that, they started connecting to what they do. Then I tell you, they didn't fear anymore, right? They just went and cleaned up, and they didn't care about the stench anymore. They didn't care about. So I felt that real story, that that they could hear this, and they could connect with that emotion, and then all the kids at the end of the story, they pledged that they will never, you know overuse plastic. They will reduce plastics in their lives, because the only thing that we're picking out of the lakes was plastics, because everything else decomposes, plastics don't. And plastics, when exposed to sunlight, they give out green gases, which is so unhealthy. So this was such a good example where kids understood. And and after 2 hours I had to literally pull them out and say, enough, you can't stay in the waters anymore. Imagine. So that was a behavior change, right? So starting from I don't want to touch anything to listening to these stories, and then going back and doing, and just not stopping. So that is what I think. You had to connect with that emotion. You had to connect with what is around you first. Do you even know how many insects are around you, how much of life is around you? There are so many birds. So first time in our lake, once we cleaned up and we could see a lot of water, we got back so many birds to the lake. And that was such a moment, because you know just imagine nature responding. I don't care if people respond or not, of course they all did appreciate, but nature responding is something. You take off nature, nature responds, right? You don't need anybody else to do that. Birds just came back, and more and more, frogs and turtles. When we cleaned up, we even took out, we saved a turtle out of a plastic bag. We saw something moving in a plastic bag, and we opened it up, and this turtle literally ran for its life and went back to the waters. So these are things we've seen. We've seen like birds' legs, caught up in bottles, and we've seen in plastic bottles and stuff. So these are things that pains us, when you see, when you go. But if you don't even go out there, how do you know these things? You can't keep reading this in books. I mean, I feel you should be out there. So when I do awareness for kids your age, actually, I take them to our own traditional wells, traditional water systems, and take them to polluted lakes and let them see what we had, and how, earlier our kings managed water, and what we have lost today, and where are we heading, and what are we supposed to do now? So taking them to these places, I mean, I'm sure you guys, if I take you to a step well, there's so much more knowledge, right? You gather, you want to know so many things. But if I just sit here and tell you a lot of things out of the book, or say it in a very theoretical way, it doesn't connect, right? So I'm just looking forward for those days, once this, we go past this Corona challenge. That is what I want to do. I mean, getting kids on ground, take them to lake. I've always done that, lake cleanups, or talk to them about water in, sitting right next to a water structure. It could be a polluted lake, but why is it polluted? Why is it this today? And why can't we avoid pollution? And how can we avoid pollution? Things like that. Once you know, then you know how to tackle this problem. There's no point. I always feel I see this climate change placards in a lot of kids' hands, and they, fighting for climate change. I don't believe in that dharna kind of a thing. I believe, like, take up a street, take up something and make that change, get a behavior change in people. And I feel that's the real change. No point, these placards, and this might work in other countries, but not in ours. We have too many problems. We need to be out there solving, because I feel there are too many talkers, too many thinkers. There are no doers, right? We just need to go and do. See, I didn't know anything about a lake, but I figured it out, right? Now I know. Now I can advise people what to do first, what to do last, and what's a challenge and what's not a challenge, what will work and what will not, right? So I feel, all of us should be those karma yogis. We have to just do. The doing is what we need to adopt. And as youngsters, that's the only thing you should do. Do explore. Walk out, see your world around you. Don't stay in this boxed thing, right? Very cushioned life. Get out of your comfort zones. Understand what's life around you. Maybe you will become a problem solver then, right?
Yes, ma'am. Completely understand what you're trying to say. So for the next question, are there any missions or goals you have set for yourself to achieve within the next 5 or 10 years?
Well, in the next 1 year, I want to put back 1 billion liters water into the ground. That's my goal, right? So let's see. I have crossed more than 450 million liters of water we have saved. I mean, through farmlands, through large projects, through injection bores, and then through well and lake restorations. So let's see how much water I can help put back into the ground. We've done more than. So I started this the rainwater project is a social enterprise I started to make this change happen, because not many people know how to make this happen, or what do I do about a lake, or what do I do about a well, how do I implement, who's going to tell me how to do that. So we answered all those problems because I ran a design studio for almost 20 years. So I have my own teams who are into, and we understand building typologies, we understand buildings, and we understand how to tackle water in it. And we have hydrologists, we have architects, we have a lot of people in our team who can make this happen. So this whole social enterprise also came up from this idea to save and conserve water. Because only awareness is not going to make it happen. You need to have solutions, right? You need to be able to implement. If somebody comes up and tells me, we have a dirty lake, do you know what to do? Yes, I do now. And I can tell that I have a team that can make it happen for you. So, which is why I started this. And I also lead water initiatives for an NGO called SAHE. SAHE is Society for Advancement in Human Endeavor. So, initially in my journey, I became part of SAHE because I needed a platform to take this simple understanding that you can become tanker free, you can become sustainable for water as a home, as a community, or as a school. You know, you could take this forward. So, I wanted to do a large, widespread awareness. And SAHE is also the NGO which conducts the TEDx Hyderabad. You must be knowing TEDx Hyderabad. So we do this 1 day event, and it's an experience we create. I'm part of that team as well. So it gives a very nice platform, and there are about 70,000 virtual members on this platform. So whatever awareness we spread, we can outreach a lot of people. So Sahe, TEDx, all these were like stepping stones for me, and I still run and lead the water initiatives, for Sahe. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Got it. So for the next question, could you just explain to us how children or youngsters contribute to the project, or are their contributions a little different to adults or little older people?
So I can only narrate my experiences when I took kids out and that. So I remember in when we were talking at this traditional step well, and I was talking to them about how traditional water structures were built, why they were built, and what was the purpose, and how did it happen, and today how we've lost the importance or significance of these wells, and how we have only polluted lakes and we don't care for our water. So I see these little kids actually. I saw them writing something in their notepads, and I know what they were writing. And before even I end my session, they said, I have an idea. Can I discuss with you? I have something we can do on the roads. I mean, there are so many traffic lights. Can we have something around it where you can collect all the rainwater inside, and can we put it inside the ground and not make it an urban flood and throw it? So they came up with such instant ideas. See, they may be workable ideas, they may not be workable ideas, but the whole intention to make it happen, to solve a problem. So I see that a lot in youngsters. I think that problem solving nature is always there. But I feel awareness is also required. But if I don't tell you these things today, how will you be aware what is going on around you? You are otherwise only connected to a tap and a tanker, right? You know your tap, you get water. If there's no water in the tap, you go to your tanker. If I ask Vedant and you, what are your water resources? Can you tell me, Aryan, what are your water resources at home? Where,
So we
where do
are,
you where do you get water from? Just
so
like
we
that,
don't
take a
have
guess. I mean,
necessarily.
it's okay. Where do you get water from?
Ma'am, so we do get our things from taps and all, but like exact connections and all, I don't really
Exactly.
know about
So
that.
Well,
that's what, right? So that's the first step of conservation. Where are we getting our water from? Like I said, we are very connected to the tap and the tanker only, right? It's true, right? So if you explore a little bit more, you will know that you take water from your bores, bore resources like groundwater. That is your one resource. The second resource is the municipal water supply, which the government supplies. And this comes to you from rivers. Do you know? Do you know that as a city, we import water to the city? Are you aware of this?
I
Not.
am
We
aware
import
a little bit about it. A little bit, mom, but then I wasn't aware that there's so much depth with the pipelines. I thought there was just a place where they fill in water, like a tank, and then we get pipes from there to our building, and then the building gets it up, something like that. Or then over a tank,
that
and then water
is
comes.
inside your community, right? But to your community, where do you get water from? So one source is groundwater through your bore wells, what we call. There are pumps that will pump into your collection sump, and from there it is distributed. That's one. Another thing is what comes from the government. That's the Manjira water, what we call. It's a municipal water. This is fresh water which comes. So this we use for drinking and other purposes. The third source of water we get is rainwater. It comes to your terrace, right? It comes to your doorstep. What do we do with it? We just collect it, throw it, and send it out to the drains. And what happens? 5 minutes of rain, you see rivers on the roads. It's urban floods, right? Why is urban floods? Have you even thought of why there is a flood? Because more than 50% of our city is concreted today. The roads are concreted. It's all impervious. Means impermeable means water cannot seep into these surfaces. So we have concreted and we have created more than 50% of our cities as completely concreted. So where will water naturally used to recharge into the ground? They used to be a natural drainage. But now, no, you've stopped it. So where does the water go? It goes here, there, and it has to find its way to the lakes. I mean, lakes can hold this water. But you have built around the lakes. You have raised the floor around the lakes. What naturally used to go into the lake is not going into the lake. So where do you think all this water can go? What was 85-90% recharge that used to go directly into the ground today is only 8%. In cities, it's only 5 to 8% goes as a natural recharge. 95% of your water is all around you. So imagine a scenario where every community, everybody that has a rooftop has saved your rainwater, either stored it like I did, or recharged it and put it back into the ground, which is the cleanest form. The moment it goes on the roads, it mixes with sewage water, so it is not useful to any of us or to Mother Earth. Once the sewage is mixed in this water, we are throwing pathogens all across the city in the rains. And imagine we are creating a disaster for ourselves. A simple thing like rainwater harvesting, and this is free. Rainwater is free. Municipal water you pay. Groundwater you're extracting without anybody's permission. How do you define how much water you take from your borewell, right? It's your luxury. You have tubs, you can take any X amount of water, and who's actually monitoring this? And all these borewells is not your borewell and my borewell, it's a public asset. The whole thing is like a water bowl. You are putting straws in different directions and different ways and sucking out water. So many people ask me this question. Okay, if I do rainwater harvesting, am I going to benefit or is my neighbor going to benefit? Well, that's a stupid question to ask because every day when you draw water from the borewell, isn't it your duty to put back the clean water into the ground? Irrespective of who benefits, right? Put it back into the ground. The ground benefits, the groundwater benefits. How is it that every time you are only doing sucking out water every day diligently from the ground and putting back nothing into the ground? Is that fair? That's not a fair deal, right? So this is a simple thing that I'm trying to tell people. Like in last 11 years, I haven't bought a single tanker. That means I have saved a few lakh rupees. Is it my money or the government's money? It's my money. So, in a country with our kind of population, right, we cannot afford to have everything done by the government. It is almost next to impossible. All of us should, become this collective change. And these are simple things. See, by doing rainwater harvesting, you are creating a water secured future for future generations. Because every time it rains, if you create this system, it's always going back into the ground, or you're reusing this water for almost 2 months, like 60, 63 days of rainfall we get in Hyderabad every year. So we can reuse this water and we can recharge it. Why the hell are we putting it on the roads? Today, Abhishek, Vedant and Ari, you're going to go back and see if your homes have rainwater harvesting. If they don't, you should get it done. right? Because it's a responsibility, it's a duty. So that is what you're contributing towards climate change. There's no point, I'm fighting for climate change is not working here. Yeah, you just go and do what's required. First, do as an individual. Like I started like this, right? Did I think that I'm going to start and working on lakes and wells? And no, not really. I wanted to solve a small problem in my own house. But when I understood this, I understood the colony, I understood my own home. Then you know what I wanted to understand about the city. I didn't know anything about how water is distributed in the city. That's when I went to several offices, water board, groundwater department, read up many things, and then I understood it like a little story that we had water in Hyderabad. We were self-sufficient. 30 in the 1920s, 30s, we moved 30 kilometers away to Himayat Sagar and the Osman Sagar, which was giving water to our city. In the 1970s, we moved to the Singur and Manjira Dam, and that's how we get that name Manjira water today. Manjira is a dam we was constructed. We used to get water from them. This is in the 1970s. 2004, we moved 120 kilometers away to the Nagarjuna Sagar Dam. And phase one was done away with. Phase two was not enough. Phase three also was not enough. By the time we are in 2014, we've already reached the Krishna and Godavari beds, which is 200 kilometers away. Now tell me, you have traveled from 0 to 30 to 70 kilometers to 120 kilometers to 200 kilometers. So isn't your next question, where do we go next? Right? Where do we go next is only the sea, which is 600 kilometers away. And we do not have the money to get that we don't have that kind of money for desalination plants. And also we don't have the infrastructure to get this much, to have so many pumping stations and that to get it from 600 kilometers away. For 200 kilometers away, we spend thousands of crores in maintenance monthly, which is also our tax money. So, which is what I said, we import water to the city today. So, our population is rising. There is a huge demand. The government has to fulfill it. So, they have to go and get it. But can we be mindless about what we use? Do you know the Manjira, the municipal water is so precious? It comes from 200 kilometers away. But can you see that people are using it in flushes? People are just throwing it. I mean, you need half a glass to drink. You fill your glass, one glass, and you throw the other half. But do you remember that this water is actually from irrigation beds? A farmer would be using this water. You're plugging a farmer's water from rivers and you're getting it to the city. My only mission is to create our own water, to make ourselves sustainable. What is sustainable? It will work forever. And we are not dependent on something else. That is what is sustainable. So our dependency on this river water should reduce because our population is rising. In the next 30 years, we are going to double up as a population. Where is the water? Even the UN is calling this 10 years the water action decade. What we do in these 10 years is going to impact us in a big way. Post 10 years, what is our life going to be with water is going to be? Do you want to become a Cape Town where there's an army guy standing there and giving you only 20 liters or 25 liters a day? You can't take a drop more. I mean, they have guns and they're standing there at every tap distribution point. Do you want to become like that? Of course not. So we have water, we have to use it sensibly, and don't strain the farmers. I mean, the rivers water. I mean, one side you're talking about rivers dying. We're supposed to save them, and another side we are plugging this rivers water and we are getting it here. So, in a large level, maybe we need this water, but we don't need this much water. We can become sustainable. But the only thing is, why have you traveled so far? Because you don't have enough. But why not create that enough? Every year you get rains. Every year you have 63 days of rainfall. Jaipur and, people in Rajasthan get only 30% of the rainfall we get. And still they have these, common collection areas and that there are some villages there who can give water to the other villages also. Because they know the value of every drop. They travel miles, walk. The women walk miles to get water. They know the value of every drop. But in cities, we don't care. We don't care. Why? Because we have enough. But when we come to a point when there isn't enough, and that's when we'll realize what to do. Money cannot buy you water. Water cannot be generated. Today, of course, from air to water machines and all this is available. but it is humanly not possible to generate so much water for the entire population. We need to go sustainable. So my thing is, when Niti Aayog's report last year said Hyderabad is one of the 21 cities going to run out of water. This is Niti Aayog's national report. We didn't run out of water, but we are going to soon. Our bores are depleting unless we do serious rainwater harvesting. So our thing is to create collective action blockwise. Let's take a street, let's take a small zone, and get everybody who has a rooftop to do rainwater harvesting. So that is what as an enterprise that we do, and pick up the lakes, pick up the wells, because wells, lakes, all these are connected groundwater systems. The moment you make a well alive, it is going to help 25 or 30 bore wells around it. If those bore wells come alive, it's like a ripple effect, right? You make one thing happen and then the whole thing works. So now, I'm so happy that the Gachibowli step well, I mean, the area is named after this well, remember? So Gach is lime mortar, a well that is made from lime mortar. That's why it's called Gachibowli. We found this Bauli and we are doing this, and it's right behind a masjid. So we're working with the masjid committee also to make this well happen. And we are connecting all the masjid rooftop, and there's a madrasa, there's a school next door. We're connecting all the rooftop water and giving clean water back to the well. Yeah, and I'm so happy to say that Chirek International School has come forward to help us with this restoration. They're funding the restoration. So there's such a rich learning for the kids. They will go through the restoration process with us, and they will see why is it important to restore the well today, and um, why is it important and pertinent today that we pull up these wells and restore. Instead of reading in books, now they will be part of the restoration story. I mean, they'll connect us, and we'll do some sort of precinct planning with them. We'll do a lot of planning with school kids, and the school has also agreed to make it part of the curriculum, which is so important. The water has to become part of the curriculum today. Today it has become a commodity. Slowly it will become a larger commodity, right? It's people will trade water. We've almost hit that point right now. So I think becoming sustainable should not be in the books. Becoming sustainable is something for real. I mean, you have to become sustainable as an individual, as a community, and as a society. And you have to keep on inspiring till as many people get there. And I think you youngsters have the power to give those messages, right? You speak about rainwater harvesting. There will be 10 adults who want to listen to you than me talking. I think if you guys talk, there are a lot of people who will want to listen to you. So I think you have that power to make a change happen. So I think you should become doers, and you should spread this awareness for water.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And yes, ma'am. So we just have one last question. So,
Hmm.
firstly, it's very important for youngsters to know about all the global changes and all that happen in the world. So, personally, what do you think about the World Youth Media that aims for children to know about all these global changes?
You mean to say how are children connected with these changes, or what is the
Um,
kind of
No, I'm sorry. I'll just repeat
initiatives?
my question. So, World Youth Media, we're just a platform, which is a learning platform. We try to teach or educate children about all day-to-day changes. So, personally, what do you think? How important or how big a role do you think the World Youth Media actually plays for these children to know about the global changes?
I think it makes a lot of sense. Like I said, awareness is key, right? Without awareness, I don't think we can make any change in this world. And if you take India, for example, 50% of our population is the youth, right? So most population, most younger people are in India today, compared to anywhere else in the world. So I think it's very important to focus on youngsters and build this change and build awareness. So I think they're doing a great job in terms of pulling up this awareness, because it is important to be aware first. Like today, you and Vedant are aware of certain things, right? I mean, before talking to me, I don't think you were aware of certain things. At least, what are your resources, right? Can you repeat with me what are your resources? Now, groundwater, you have rainwater, you have municipal water, then you have bottled water. we have so many sources, right? So if you know what these sources are, and if you know how to manage them, and how much of each water does one person need in your house, that there starts conservation. Without even understanding where is this water coming from, what sort of conservation are you going to look at, right? So this is these kind of little awareness. I think this building awareness and these platforms do a lot to build such awareness, and also to create action, right? The little things that you can do, little things that kids can come together and do, because we need kids to come together on these platforms to make that impact, right? If 10 of you come together, you're able to make this program happen, right? So similarly, if people come together, you can just imagine if it becomes 50 of you or 100 of you, look at the change you'll be making, right? So I think these platforms are really good, and I think collaboration is the way to go. You have to really collaborate with so many other young platforms that are available, and bring in more and more kids into the foray. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So those are all the questions we had for you, ma'am. Thank you so much for
Been
taking.
absolutely brilliant, ma'am. It's so inspiring. This has been an eye
Thank
opener
you.
speaking to you.
Thank you, Vedant, and thank you, Arya, for
Time to
your
just
time
do
Thank
it.
you
and
so much, ma'am.
wanting to talk to you. I'm sure you're a little more aware about water than you were earlier, right?
Yeah, definitely,
Much,
ma'am.
much, much,
Definitely.
much.
Because in reading is in books is different, but knowing about our city, knowing about our home, knowing about this is real knowledge, right? this is
Of course,
this is
ma'am.
what you need to learn, because it's not enough what we read in books. Because if you know what the problem is, maybe in your own homes you'll become problem solvers, right? Let's hope that you have done rainwater harvesting in your own homes, and you'll figure that out.
Surely. First
Yeah.
thing I'm going to do now.
Yeah.
All right, thank
Absolutely
you.
brilliant, ma'am. Absolutely brilliant. It was so amazing speaking to you. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
Arya, and thank you,
Thank you so
Vedant.
much, ma'am.
So this is
you.
going to be aired sometime, is it? When?
Yes, ma'am. We're gonna try to
Ye-
edit it a little bit, and then about around Sunday, maybe Sunday, Monday, something. We'll get this on.
All right. Great,
Yes,
guys.
ma'am.
Great job. And
Yeah.
and keep
Thank.
connecting with us. We keep doing a lot of stuff. So maybe after this Corona thing, maybe you can come on ground with us and
Of
try
course,
to.
ma'am.
We
Of
found a
course.
lot of turtles and fishes and stuff in the well, and we're trying to safeguard them, and we'll put them back into the well. There's some very interesting
Yeah.
stories, and when you go down step wells, it's an interesting experience. You can see that it's hot outside, right? But as you go down the wells, instantly it's a microclimate. It becomes cooler down there. It's a very simple knowledge, right? So, but it's nice to experience these things. I would invite you guys to come and experience these things, and also come for a lake cleanup, because once you do a cleanup at a lake, you will reduce plastics in your lives
Yeah.
forever.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
All our viewers, whoever watches this when it's published, we're going for this lake cleanup. Everybody, all every one of you, we're going for
Yes,
this.
you must, because
Yeah.
it is instant awareness.
We're going for
It's
Yes,
this.
ma'am.
instant
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
awareness. You don't have to speak, but you will understand so many things.
Of
So
course.
many
Open
things.
invite, ma'am. Open invite to our viewers next.
Yes, I think they should all join, and anytime, anytime you guys can, we can together collaborate and put up some small events, right? We can have some short
Definitely, ma'am.
talks at these wells that we
Surely,
restore.
Yeah.
surely, sure.
Sure, ma'am.
All
Yeah.
Thank
right.
you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you, Vedanta. Bye.
See you, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye.